Were you a passionate follower of Jesus as a teenager?
Well, you know, as many teenagers have it, and I was no exception, I had my up times with God and my down times with God, you know. As it happened, the week before that, I was at a seminar in Peterborough, Ontario.
My hometown.
There you go.
Where Darlene is from, we'll discover.
That's right, and it was a Ambassadors in Missions, it was called. It was like a 1-week intensive seminar / group where there was probably 100 young people there from all over Ontario. And so we had been kind of charged up, you know, to evangelize, and so I was at a real kind of spiritual high. The Saturday before, I had just left there to come home to Brockville. And so this was Monday morning. So I was freshly out of this week of just being charged up. So this is one of the high points in my Christian life.
Oh, but Paul, what does it do to anyone?
Well,
to have your life taken from you?
As the time went on, I went through some very dark times. I really did. There were times that I got bitter, you know, because the healing that people were praying for on my behalf didn't come, you know. And as I got more able to, after 6 months of being in the hospital, they started to let me go home on the weekends. Well, on the weekends, people would, you know, well-meaning people, very well-meaning people, would take me to evangelistic meetings where a faith healer was there. And of course, the attention was on the guy in the wheelchair, you know? And so when I went up to the front to be prayed for, everybody just, there was a hush would come over the meeting, and let's see what God's going to do. Well, to make a long story short, God chose not to heal me. And so, but the feelings that brought in me, I remember getting bitter at people, watching people go up to the front and get prayed for and healed with what I thought was a lot less severe injuries and maladies than I thought I had. I'd say to the Lord, Lord, I'll trade my paralysis for that guy's sore back anytime, you know. What's he going up and getting prayed for and getting healed, and I'm sitting in a wheelchair, you know, waiting for you to heal me, and you won't heal me. So, you know, that was a process of the Lord showing me his plans and purposes for someone else aren't the same as for me. And it was months and years sometimes the Lord would take me through the process of teaching me these things. That he had his ways were not my ways.
Well, I'll tell you, the fruit of that is to read that when Darlene came in on the scene, what spoke most to her about you was your peace. It was so other, wasn't it, Darlene? It was something you had never tasted and you desperately needed.
That's right.
Tell us about that first God incidents, because you weren't the woman who was supposed to be on deck, were you?
I was working for a healthcare company. I was the director, and we would send nurses and staff out to people's homes. And Paul had called to arrange for some help on a particular weekend, and the young lady who was supposed to go phoned in sick, and I couldn't find anyone. So I was his nurse assignment that day. And from the moment I entered Paul's home, he was living with his parents at that time, and when I stepped inside the front door, even their home was warm, and something I knew was different. And when I met Paul, not perhaps because he was a quadriplegic, I was accustomed to seeing people sick and people with disabilities. It wasn't peace that he had about that. It was another kind of peace that was expressive of joy. It was sincere. It was genuine.
It was Jesus in him.
It was Christ in
Wasn't
him.
it?
And I knew he was different. That is all that I could put on it that day. And
why was that important to you? Where were
because
you in your journey?
That day, I did not know peace. I didn't know it personally. I didn't know hope. I was very lost in realizing that I was empty without knowing I was empty, longing and not knowing what I was longing for. And for me, my life had been many, what I thought was good decisions, doing the best to survive. And I was just that, I was surviving. I was breathing in the air and existing. I had a good career, should have been much happier.
Survived the
Yes, just
the pummeling of 2 failed marriages.
Yes, 2 failed marriages, a failure as a wife, as a mom, as even my career. I wasn't nursing anymore. I had moved away from the hospital nursing to this nursing, having
care.
others go out. And I miss, home care. And I truly missed the contact with people, but I had nothing to give because I wasn't happy.